Welcome back to Under Oath. Today we have actor, singer, voice actor, and Lake Howell graduate, Scott Porter.
Yes, sir. Go Silverhawks. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. This show is actually shot from Orlando, so we appreciate your local accomplishments.
That's awesome. Yeah, go see me in the record books over there, winning the talent show with my barbershop quartet Echo and over 800 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns my senior year. So yeah,
You gotta love that, man.
Peaked in high school.
I don't know about that. You did some time at UCF, so you got a nice little piece of Central Florida with you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you can't finish, and I did not. But eventually went on and worked at the theme parks there. Like broke in, actually did my first shows at both Universal and Disney. So yeah, Orlando has a huge part of my heart, and my brother still lives there. Actually, just helped open Epic Universe over at Universal. So
okay,
really cool.
I actually took my son. My son's autistic, and he's been dying for that park for 25 years. He's looking forward to a new park. So that was cool. So let's talk about what you're here for. You got a show on Netflix called Ginny in Georgia, and it's going into its 3rd season.
Yes, sir. We've been around since 2021 and have become somewhat of a hit. This actually might be the biggest show I've ever been a part of, just pure numbers wise. And I could not be more grateful. When we started this little show about a mother-daughter, Georgia Miller and her son and daughter, and she's on the run from a checkered past, ending up in a small, Massachusetts town where I'm the mayor. We didn't know what we were getting into at first. It was like a little show that could. And now we look back with the creative team that we have on this show and the 2 powerhouse leads that we have and the stellar cast and crew that we have working on this thing. And we go, well, how could we ever not have succeeded? So we are so grateful and just so fortunate to have so many people out there watching.
I was watching a scene from that last night, and I was like going, this is not Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, season 1, a lot of people wanted to try and put us in a box. There's always an elevator pitch for a show. And for anybody out there that has not watched Ginny in Georgia, the elevator pitch was Gilmore Girls with a little bit of Sons of Anarchy. That was the initial kind of elevator pitch, mash 2 shows up together. But we are our own thing. I 100% promise you. We are not Gilmore Girls. We are a lot more wild. We have cliffhangers everywhere. There's, murder in the past, murder in the present. There's a giant court case that's happening during season 3. And just seeing how our characters survive through all of that is a really interesting process.
Yeah, the actress who plays the mother in that, she's a beast. She's good. I was watching a couple scenes of hers. Woo!
Yeah, Brianne Howie and Tony Gentry are our Georgia and our Ginny, and we could not be anchored by 2 better actresses. The 2 of them, when they work together or when we get the pleasure to work alongside them as the rest of the cast, you just are a witness to 2 people fully in control of their talent and able to share that with so many people out there around the world. And it's incredible to sit on a quiet set and work across from. And then when you watch it, you really understand, man, this is a force of nature that I'm working across from. So yeah, I'll have to pass that along to her.
Well, this is your 3rd season, and I get to talk to actors. They've been on a show like you were on Friday Night Lights, you were on Scorpion. You've been on some fantastic Lucifer. You've done some amazing jobs. I've watched all these. I'm just, I'm kind of an uber geek. I write comic books, so I support what you do outside. A lot of people don't know. I'm wondering, you might be close to the Guinness Book World Record to play the most superheroes in video games, cartoons out there, because you play everybody. I was looking at Moon Knight, Winter Soldier, my favorite character, Ben Reilly. It is amazing how much work you've done in the voice acting community.
Wow, your favorite character is Scarlet Spider.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that, man. Yeah, I tried for a number of years. I was in the Final 4 for Captain America. I was in the final running to play the Flash in George Miller's version of the Justice League that fell apart with our first writer's strike. And I wanted to be a superhero. I'm a big nerd. And I I figured my way in was maybe through video games. And once I started voicing superheroes in video games, it just seems like it never stopped. And my most prolific role, I think, to this point is Star-Lord. I've been Star-Lord in over 10 games. And it's just been really cool to fill like the superhero boots and get my fill that way. And the cooler thing is, as my kids are growing up, that's one of the first projects they understand as far as acting. When they see me, Scott Porter, their dad, in a live action project, they have a hard time separating that it's dad acting as a different character. But when they hear my voice through the cartoons or the video games, because I read them books at night in different voices, they completely get it and they buy way more into the story. So it's been really cool to see my kids really enjoy projects that I've been able to do that also bring me massive enjoyment. So it's just a big, beautiful circle, and I absolutely love doing all the voice work.
Now, I normally like to think I'm semi-smart. I'm an attorney. I do things. But I could not figure out the game you're known for, Hero Clicks. I got these things. I'm going, okay, I couldn't even figure. There were numbers on these things. You turn it around, and you are actually a big deal. I mean, you have your own character in this game.
Yeah, there's a game called Hero Clicks, and I've been playing it since it came out in 2001. The way I explain it to everybody is it's chess with superheroes, but instead of moving in the shape of an L like a knight does, Spider-Man can leap over buildings. And the reason it's called Hero Clicks is because at the bottom, I have all their statistics. And so you roll dice, you click the dials, and you play strategically. I played in the World Championships a couple of times when comic conventions were still a big deal. Wizard World Philadelphia is where I played, and then I started doing unboxings for WizKids because I love that game and I wanted to play with my son and daughter. I want the game to survive and be around, so I'd love to be a part of that whole thing. And then I kind of turned that partnership into a charitable effort. We do something called Hero Clicks for Huntington's every single year. And Huntington's disease is something that's in our family that we try to raise money to battle, find a cure for, and support families who are also facing HD. And so Hero Clicks for Huntington's is an event I do every year. This year, we just got done in May. We raised over $75,000 for HDSA using this tabletop board game, this version of superhero chess. So it's had a huge impact on my life, and I can teach you to play sometime. If you want to roll some dice and learn how to play, I can help you out with that.
Well, I might have to tell you, I don't know if you're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. Let me know. You can come to the booth and give me a quick lecture.
Oh, we could do it at Coliseum of Comics down there in Orlando. We'll figure it out.
That's kind of funny. I'm good friends with Phil, who owns Coliseum, so he's going to appreciate that shout out. I'm going to make sure to send him a clip of this. He'll really love that.
That's where I used to judge. I used to judge Hero Clicks at two different Coliseum of Comics back in 2003 and 2002. So, yeah.
Wow. I mean, the hard thing is for me, being an Uber geek, every once in a while I got to do a real cool thing. I got to interview Stan Lee before he passed. I got to, I get to write comic books. I mean, in this industry, you go, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. What would be the next comic book fantasy if you had a chance? Is it a Marvel movie? The problem is you've also done a lot of DC characters too, so it's a little, what would be the dream superhero job for you?
Man, at this point, just doing any of them. I mean, I don't want to feel like, a pauper out here, but, for the most part, there are so many incredible characters. And I'm in this business because I want to tell stories, cool stories, different stories. So really, there's a few characters out there I really absolutely love, but they've already been made in film. They've already been made in television for the most part. And, so there are other superheroes out there that haven't been touched yet. I'd love to just inhabit a character like that as long as it's a part of a greater overall story that's told with care. Green Lantern is one of my favorite characters of all time, and there are hundreds of Lantern Corps members. So even doing a smaller tale like in the Lanternverse, or finding smaller characters from independent comics. Image has such a huge list of really cool, comic books and everything. To be a part of telling one of those stories would also be really, really cool. So for me, as long as it's a great story, I'll play anything. But my all-time favorite character is Iceman. If they ever did a older version of X-Men, a newer kind of
they do it all the time.
Of like an X-Men First Class story where the original five are kind of the older teachers at the mansion, that could be really cool as well. So that's my favorite guy.
Now I read somewhere because you've done Cyclops, where you gave the actor playing Cyclops tips on, hey, this is this. I mean, is that actually real, or is that just a BS internet thing?
I think that's a BS internet thing. James Marsden and I have met a couple of times. And one time when we met, he was like, people keep telling me that you're Cyclops. And I was like, well, I voiced Cyclops, but you, Jimmy, you are
Yeah.
Cyclops. You know what I mean? But it's one of those crazy things that the internet just spins out of control. I came very close on the George Miller Justice League project. And at the time, I was in Wizard World Dallas at a comic convention signing autographs for Friday Night Lights, actually. And all of a sudden, somebody dropped an Action Comics on my table and they said, hey, sign it. And I was like, why? Why do you want me
Yeah.
to sign a Superman issue? And what had happened was there was this website, Ain't It Cool News, that
Yep.
somehow got the test list of actors who were at the very final test before people were cast for the movie. And they were trying to figure out where everybody fit. And the internet conclusion was, I was Superman, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I am 5'11, 185 pounds soaking wet after breakfast. I am not Henry Cavill. But then I looked up and my line was like 400 people long out of nowhere, and all of them had Superman memorabilia. And that's just an example of how the internet can just spin out of control with things that just aren't true. So no, I never gave James Marsden a tip on how to play Cyclops.
It's a very weird thing because being I write comic books, people will come up to me with books and they'll go, "This is your book." I'm going, "Trust me, this is not my book." And fans can be a little rough. They're going, "I just want you to sign it." And you're going, and you like, okay, and you don't quite know how to deal with it, but that made them happy, And you do a lot of convention work. I mean, when you mentioned Wizard Philadelphia, that was like a blast from the past because those were like huge, and you being able to be out among the people. I mean, it just must be such an amazing thing for having all these people come up to you and go and appreciate what you do.
I'm so grateful that I've been a part of a number of shows that have bigger fan bases, and I'm just, it's such an honor to continue to be able to work in this business and meet fan bases from all these different walks of life. After Friday Night Lights, somebody would ask me, is there something that somebody always says to you? And it's a miracle you can walk is something that I do still get shouted at me very often in airports. But having been a part of Heart of Dixie, having been a part of Lucifer, having been a part of Scorpion, and now with the biggest show I've ever been a part of, Ginny in Georgia, there are so many fans from these different shows that I meet that it's no longer a thing. Well, there's like one certain slogan shouted at me or one certain thing. It's just like a really cool experience to kind of look at somebody and they go, I know you. And then they'll say, from Speed Racer. And I'll be blown away because that was so long
Yeah.
ago. But the fact that I've been able to work and had the privilege to work on this many different projects and also the privilege to meet this many different varied fan bases is just a really cool and wonderful experience. And I thank every single person out there. They're the reason I still get to work, really, quite honestly. So I just have so much appreciation and gratitude for it all.
You got to admit, there's a certain bit of humor in the concept that on Scorpion, you play the serious guy among all the geeks and everything else like that. And you are probably the biggest geek on that show.
Yeah, that was an interesting show to come into. My character was coming between Kat McPhee and Elias Gabel's character and breaking them up. And a lot of, shipping is a new thing for television. Well, not a new thing. I mean, it's like a couple decades old, but relationships are so meaningful to fan bases, and I was the guy coming in and breaking them up. So that fan base was very resistant to me when I first came in, and actually was pretty aggressive. But there was one scene in that show where I'm playing an arcade game and I set the high score and they shoot it through the arcade screen. And you can see me smiling in a way like you've never seen me smile before because I'm getting to play video games on camera as a big nerd. And that was when the audience kind of got on my side. They're like, wait a minute, this guy's a nerd too. So
Yeah.
I was super excited about that.
How tough is that? Because sometimes you're not the villain, but in a way they write you as the villain because they know what the fan base wants. So they bring you in as let's just say this, the villain.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Tim Armstrong was a villain. I don't think that when you play the other guy in a love triangle that anybody is necessarily villainous unless the show tries to just completely assassinate your character in the confines of the show so that they can build up another relationship. Luckily enough, I've been on quite a few shows where that hasn't been the case. Where when you have a love triangle, you try to really just service the story by making sure that everybody understands these are complete people in this, you know, situation, this relationship. And when things don't work out, it's for actual grounded reasons. And I feel like, I mean, Ginny and Georgia is a perfect example of, there are a lot of people who love the idea of Joe and Georgia together, people who love the idea of Georgia going back to her ex-husband and Zion, or staying with Paul, who is her current partner. And we have like a love rectangle. I don't, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's
Like,
it's
but it all centers around Georgia and how well written she is and how many facets you see of her, and then how it's reflected in the three of us. The writing's great. And when you're a part of that, it's not that anybody's a villain. It's that, just people might favor a certain relationship more. And nowadays, people do have a little bit of an absolute nature. It's this way or the highway for
yeah.
some fan bases. Hopefully, that's not the case with Ginny and Georgia's fan base. But I've been really excited to play in that space.
Now, the cool thing about this is, you've gotten 3 seasons, and that's an amazing, and you're going, okay, let's get to 5, let's get to 8, let's get to 10, because stability is a huge thing. I mean, the ability to spend more time with your family, the ability to, provide. I mean, acting is a very tough vagabond like existence, and you don't know where the next meal's coming. How tough is it for you to go? A lot of people get comfortable. Are you always thinking about, okay, when during hiatus, I'm going to do this movie, I'm going to do this, or is it like, hey, this is a good opportunity to spend 2 or 3 months with my family? I mean, how does this even play out?
My parents, my parents met in a rock band in the 80s. I went to 7 different elementary and middle schools. So I led that vagabond life early on. And for me, I was an only child until I was 15. Like, I can exist that way. The interesting element was when my wife and I got married and we started to have a family. And now we've got 2 kids, 10 and 7. And I can tell you, my life as it is isn't possible without my wife. She allows for me to go and work a job knowing that, our kids are so well taken care of. She's such an incredible woman. She's superwoman to not only our family, but everybody that knows her. And so that's really for me, like what makes it still possible for me to continue to do this. That and the fact that my kids are actually able to pick up and travel at a moment's notice too. They are very well equipped to hit the road with us and continue on my parents' legacy of just continuing to try and make art while also making family a priority. I've seen that balance work. I saw it with my folks. The reason we moved down to Florida and in Orlando is because after years and years and years of performing in various bands, my parents wanted to be closer to family. My grandfather retired from the Air Force, moved to Orlando, and my mom said, "You know what? We're going to go down there. We're going to make it work. We're going to get closer to Grandpa." And so that's why I ended up in Orlando. And without that happening, I don't have this career. Without working at the theme parks, I don't
Yeah.
have this career. So every single move, all of this, vagabond lifestyle, every single piece of it was for a reason. And I really believe that continues now as I have my own family. So just very fortunate to have a partner in the midst of this that is so gung ho about me in this career and so capable of leading our family while we're apart. And then since streaming became a thing, I have longer hiatuses, so I have more time to spend with the
That's cool.
family. So it's been really cool. My kids have spent a summer with me in Toronto on Ginny and Georgia, a summer with me in New York while I did a musical comedy series for Hulu, a summer with us in Italy as we celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary, my wife and I, and they're going to be coming back up to Toronto this year for a little while. So and a summer in Connecticut when I did a Hallmark movie. So they've picked up and come with us, and they have had the most fun on the road with us. So just looking to keep that happening and continue to find the work life balance.
You'll be surprised at what those memories, when they talk about it when they're in their 20s and 30s, the memories are going to say, oh, I remember being on this set. I remember being here. And it's going to really make them better people. Well, it was great
Yeah.
talking to Scott, and I look forward to it. Next time you come down, I got to take you up on the Hero Clicks offer because I am useless at that game. So I appreciate it, and continued success, my friend.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I'll look you up, and anybody out there's listening, you can find me at Skittish Kid on Instagram, and you go ahead and hit me up over there. We'll stay in touch. All right, brother.
You take care, man.